All right, good afternoon, everyone. Recording this video before the bell. Welcome back. Happy Friday to you guys. And first off, happy holidays ahead. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys enjoy it with you and yours. It's going to be a good one. All right, so we're headed into next week, 3.5 trading days. On Tuesday, it's a half day, and we're off on Wednesday for Christmas. So here we go. Lots of big news this over the course of this week. Of course, as you know, Powell slammed down the markets and expectations for 3 rate cuts going into 2025 and only signaling 2 rate cuts for next year. And of course, as you know, the market dropped 3% on Wednesday, dropped a few points on Thursday, and a very sharp rally back today. Over the course of the last 7-8 days or so, we've been talking about how breadth has been so bad across the S&P 500, while the QQQ and the Nasdaq continue to rally into the beginning of this week around 540. So if you take a look at what's been happening with this chart that we've been tracking, this one specifically is a percentage of stocks above the 50-day moving average in the S&P 500, and this is reaching all the way back into October lows. In addition to that, I published a data set for you guys this morning that at the bell this morning, the percentage of stocks above the 20-day moving average is as low as it was back in October 2022. That's the bear market low. That's when things snap back. Usually during these type of scenarios, there's a couple days of the market kind of figuring out what where it wants to go. But basically what we got today was what we were looking for in terms of a snapback rally, because the breadth has been so bad. So don't listen to the bears tonight about breadth, about volume. Actually, the S&P 500 volume is above average daily volume today. At the time of recording, we're up 1.5% on the Nasdaq and the SPY as well. And this is what we were anticipating, a snapback rally. Even though, yes, we pulled back about 5% from the highs. I suppose it was the much needed reset. Okay. In addition to that, if you take a look at what's happening on the heat map here, everything is participating. We've been talking about how the energy sector has been oversold, the financial sector oversold. So the market is actually pushing up, all right, with a lot of volume and thrust into the market. So looks pretty good going into the Christmas week. Maybe we even get a little bit extra push on the Santa rally. So going back, let's just go to the charts here, and you can see again, this is the breadth of the S&P 500, and more important than that, before I go into the charts, is the 200 moving average, stocks above the 200 moving average. And this is very low. This is all the way back to November lows of 2023 or highs. And you can see, so we'll see how this chart pans out over the next couple of days. But I do expect that next week we'll push a little bit higher into the end of the year, and we'll see how things shake out at the end of the year. But going to the charts, number one, I want to talk about SOXL, SOXL, and it's been consistently tapping this 25, 26 range. And today you got some volume coming in as well. You go over to the SPY. Our SPY target for the month of December was 611. Unfortunately, it's going to be quite a stretch to see that happen. You're talking about 6,100 plus on the index before end of the year, with only about 6 trading days left. I don't think so. But it's important, at least today, that we close above the 50-day moving average, since we lost that yesterday, and close somewhere as close as we can to the 5-day moving average. Check out the volume today. And this volume here looks a lot like this volume here on November lows, the day of the elections, where the market did actually gap up and went on a run and gapped up the next day and went even further. So this volume bar here looks a lot like it. So there's no low volume on the market today. All right. So don't listen to what the bears tell you on social media. Very high volume on the Qs. Very significant, even higher volume, I think. Yeah, right about the same volume as your November lows here before the day of the election. So it's also important that, the Qs all close above the 20-day and as close as you can into the 5-day moving average. I have an upside target. Our target today specifically was 520. kind of low ball. We actually went to 525. So we pulled a complete 50% retracement so far, holding above right around the 523 area. So what I like to see next week is a push above 527. That would be my upside target. If you can push past that 527, then we're going straight back into this area here. If you get heavy volume rejection off the 527, then yeah, maybe another pullback to the 20-day, etc. Going over to the SPY, all right, my upside target is going to be 601 next week. All right, I'm targeting this 20-day moving average at 601. If we can close above the 5-day moving average and get back above the trend line here. All right, going over to Nvidia closing above, looks like it can close above the trend line here. 20-day moving average of 137, 139, 140 on the 50-day moving average. But as long as it closes above the 5-day moving average, still looks pretty good. And you want to get this consistent, get a close above this resistance zone that over the course of last year or the last several months, this has been a resistance zone and a support zone. So you see that little bit of a flip there. All right, going over to AMD. All right, AMD finally getting something going, maybe, but it's below this low here at 122, and went actually lower this morning to almost 115. And the 115 is your weekly moving average 200, and almost hit this morning. So that's how. So when I woke up this morning, I felt like, okay, this is capitulation. This is a day to go shopping and not be fearful. And why are we getting this sharp rally? Well, number one, the markets were already oversold, all right, on the from a breadth standpoint, and also all your oscillators, right? So if we take a look at, let's say, 4 hours stochastic going into PCE today, we said, okay, we're going to buy the dips yesterday. We did that, right? And going into today, but the government shutdown news overnight is what sent the futures down a lot, right? So we gapped down today. SPY went to 577. You hit like 505 on a Q, and it's a very significant move today. All right. And that's typically what you want to see in a snapback rally with volume, right? And look at where your 4-hour stochastic is, and this is why I think that there's a little bit more room to go on the S&P. And you take a look at the weekly candle, that doesn't look great. I understand, but you get a 1-day rally, and that's the candle that you're going to get at the end of the week. So it's not looking too great, but we'll see what happens next week. As long as the Q can actually close above the 5-week moving average, that looks good as well. So again, going back to why this rally, number one, obviously because of the breadth and everything was so deteriorated. Deteriorated. And in addition to that, the market was in extreme fear. All right. And plus, we all know the government's not going to shut down, right? A lot of talk about the shutdown last night, but of course they're going to pass a bill eventually, right? Over the weekend, they passed a bill cap on Monday or something like that. But today was the day to go shopping this morning. So looking pretty good here. All right. So with that being said, that's it for the week, guys. Hope you guys had a great one. It's been very, very turbulent. I mentioned that in our video last Friday, that prepare for this week. It's going to get a little bit crazy. We had a 3% down day Wednesday, and followed by a 1.5% up day. So again, my targets next week for the Q is 527 resistance area. And also our SPY price target for next week is 600 to 601. And with the daily stochastic moving on the floor here, this looks really, really good, guys. Is it going to be a straight shot into the moon? No, not necessarily. Maybe a slow melt up, but certainly the volume looks very good going into the weekend. Hope you guys have a great one. Merry